Johnson. Sid, what are you looking forward to?
I want to see these guys play with the desperation of trying to get a W. On-court leadership from their key guys and certainly head coaches with a high level of detail in order to carry the day.
Hawks in red. They haven't won since January 18th against Penn. This is Ryan Daly. Bucket. That's what he does. 35 in his last outing. Meanwhile, the Explorers, they played reasonably well in losses. Close against some good teams, but it's still 7 straight L's.
They have a whole lot of competitive performances, just not the wins to show for it. Inside-out balance, but defensively, they've got to be locked in on Daly. Can't let him get going early.
6 on the shot clock. Hawks locking down. 2 on the shot clock. Let it fly from the corner. No. Saul Peary. Spencer Scott answers. Tied at 3.
St. Joe's will switch everything. They were there on the catch, but obviously when a shot goes up, got to box out and finish out that defensive possession.
Anthony Longpre. Tolliver Freeman nowhere to go, but out to Miles Douglas. Daly is not bashful. Thought he got bumped. Here's Sidney Johnson. Sid, what are you looking forward to?
I want to see these guys play with the desperation of trying to get a W. On-court leadership from their key guys and certainly head coaches with a high level of detail in order to carry the day.
Hawks in red. They haven't won since January 18th against Penn. This is Ryan Daly. Bucket. That's what he does. 35 in his last outing. Meanwhile, the Explorers, they played reasonably well in losses. Close against some good teams, but it's still 7 straight L's.
They have a whole lot of competitive performances, just not the wins to show for it. Inside-out balance, but defensively, they've got to be locked in on Daly. Can't let him get going early.
6 on the shot clock. Hawks locking down. 2 on the shot clock. Let it fly from the corner. No. Saul Peary. Spencer Scott answers. Tied at 3.
St. Joe's will switch everything. They were there on the catch, but obviously when a shot goes up, got to box out and finish out that defensive possession.
Anthony Longpre. Tolliver Freeman nowhere to go, but out to Miles Douglas. Daly is not bashful. Thought he got bumped. Deep triple was Isaiah Dees. Offensive rebound. Dees to the rim, misses the dunk. St. Joe's on the run out, and good strip by LaSalle. That was taken away by Saul Peary. LaSalle loses it. Easy bucket for Ryan Daly, who has the first 5 for St. Joe's.
Wide open 3 early on in the game, and then a loose ball finish there. That is not a good look for LaSalle. At the same time, St. Joe's has to defend better in terms of defensive rebounding. Can't give the Explorers often over and over looks at the basket.
Saul Peary. Second 3 ball for LaSalle.
Seems like both teams just kind of feeling each other out. The intensity will be there in terms of that defense.
Inside, Ryan Daly. He's a load.
Longpre is a very talented big kid, getting more comfortable on the perimeter, driving the basketball, but he can also find cutters. Wonderful pass there to Daly.
Daly's 6'5", 225-pound redshirt junior, transferred from Delaware. It's turnover.
That's much
Saul
better
Peary on the
defense
line.
than St. Joe's.
Eddie Croswell on the bench, normally starts.
Yeah, Rich, we talked about one of my favorite players, as you know. He is a load on the block, gets all kinds of rebounds at both ends, and can score as well. He's developed that part of his game. The first time he'll come off the bench this season for the Explorers.
Weren't given a reason, but he was pulled late from the starting lineup.
Interesting matchup here. Beatty versus Daly. Doesn't want to give him any room to breathe.
Miles Douglas, no. St. Joe's still with control. It's sloppy.
One thing I can share, Rich, it's so hard when you spread your offensive players so far out. It is tough to defensive rebound, but both teams know that coming into the game, and so they've got to be locked in. That's the sense of desperation and attention to detail that both teams need to have.
St. Joe's 4-18, 0-9 in the Atlantic 10. They are off a good performance, competitive against one of the better teams in the A-10, St. Louis, in a 5-point loss. Turnover, St. Joe's, easy run out of LaSalle. Christian Ray finishes, and the Explorers go back up by 1. Thought about it, a little too deep even for his liking. Douglas sloppy with a basketball, turns it over, and now a foul on the Hawk. Early timeout. Ashley Howard and LaSalle leading St. Joe's by 1.
There's no feeling like it. When you prep the gear, done the research.
The Hail Mary from Doug Flutie way back when.
I'm getting the feeling you could do this all day, Rich. Ashley Howard has to be disappointed. I know that Daly was at the top of their scouting report in terms of their defensive focus. He's already in a really good rhythm. Right now, the best thing going for them is that Daly is on the bench. So LaSalle gets a little bit of relief.
3-second violation.
3-second violation. Croswell now is in the game.
Normally a good guy finishing at the rim. Caught the ball a little bit off the block, a little bit further away, and had to do something maybe outside of his game. He's a great catch and finish guy at the rim.
So Daly getting just a little bit of a reprieve. Where do you think they go for offense?
That's a good question. I know Kim Brown has been a young man that they've been very happy with. He is the only other Hawk who has started every single ball game for St. Joe's. He's averaging 12 points in the last 10. So he's someone who's reliable, but they'll have to do it by committee.
And Freeman walks.
Dribbling violation called on St. Joe's Explorers basketball.
Early look at why these teams are struggling. Just don't take care of the basketball.
Along with number 4, Sharif Kenny. They replace number 1, David Beatty, and number 13, Saul Peary.
So Peary getting a rest as well. Zeros have got to watch in yellow for LaSalle. That's Ayinda Hakeem. It was all Metro down in the D.C. area, Mount Zion Prep in Maryland. They like him, shifty guard.
Pass first guy, gets to the basket, gets in the lane, and just like that, he'll look for his teammates willingly.
And Sharif Kenny on the miss. And another turnover.
Explorers basketball returning for St. Joe's, number 1, Ryan.
There you go, Rich. Back-to-back turnovers. Number 1 for the Hawks Daly. Checking back in the game. Coach Lang has seen enough.
Number 3, Christian Ray.
LaSalle's last trip to the NCAAs, that was in 2013. Tyrone Garland with a Southwest Philly floater to beat Ole Miss. So that's a long time. For St. Joe's, go back to 2016, that DeAndre Bembry team with Isaiah Miles. Hakeem has it.
Good scored by number 0,
LaSalle now by 3.
Rich, that's the next thing in Hakeem's development. The next step forward for him is to look for his own offense. Great distributor of the basketball, but in conference play, people start to play you for the pass. He's going to have to be a little bit more aggressive to balance out his game.
That's a good look. Ryan Daly. Tolliver Freeman misses. Isaiah Dees, good look inside. Croswell is stopped at the rim, but he is fouled. Big Eddie Croswell, 6'8", 250-pound sophomore. Ashley Howard in his second year as the head coach here at LaSalle. 2 really good years at Villanova under Jay Wright, winning an NCAA title as one of his lead assistants.
Love the quality time we got to spend with him at shoot around and talk to him at length. And the biggest thing he talked about is how happy he is with the culture and the competitive spirit of these young men. They are responding to his coaching, and he's throwing everything at them. He's not holding back, not toning anything down, because he's got a high standard, and he believes that they will raise their game, lift themselves up to that level.
And he has some help on the way next year. Clifton Moore, big transfer from Indiana who can play. And then a local product out of Cheltenham High School, which produced the baseball great Reggie Jackson. A guy by the name of Jack Clark is a 6'8" guard. I watched him warm up today. He's out with an injury, but he can really stroke it.
He's got some good ones waiting in the wings. Kid Clifton Brown, all kinds of length and athleticism, good footwork. He's going to cause some problems in the A-10.
Reem Moore. Back out, Lorenzo Edwards. No. Rebound away to LaSalle and Brandon Stone. And there's a turnover. Stone couldn't handle it. Daly. Good look inside. Edwards blocked by Stone.
Ball's out of bounds. It'll remain St. Joe's basketball.
He's a freshman from Alberton, PA, out in western Pennsylvania, was second-team All-State. 6'11", has some size, a little thin, 200 pounds.
And you would want Edwards maybe to give him a little extra bump. As you said, he's a little bit frail, Stone is. Maybe try to put him under the basket and then raise up, put it off the glass.
Ashley missed the 3, but Ramir Moore was there for the offensive rebound, and he was fouled by Ayinda Hakeem, his first, and the team's first. And there's Billy Lang, was an assistant for 6 years with the Philadelphia 76ers. Now in his first year at St. Joe's, took over for the legendary Phil Martelli. There's a foul. Martelli's now an assistant at Michigan to Juwan Howard. Michigan good win today over Michigan State.
Absolutely. A big one there. Go blue for Juwan Howard. Great to see him coming back. Obviously a special part of that Fab Five and leading them to what he hopes is the NCAA tournament. In terms of Coach Lang, you know, that time with the Sixers, you know, there was so much focus on the nutrition and how to be a pro. Those are 2 of the big things in terms of taking care of your body, the rest, the extra work that you have to put in to be a good basketball player. Those are the things that Coach Lang is infusing in the program with this unit, and he believes that is the recipe for success moving forward.
Returning for St. Joe's, number 2, Miles Douglas.
St. Joe's in his blood, that's for sure. Both mom and dad, St. Joe's alums. Dad, Bill Sr., was a high school basketball coach, and in fact Billy replaced his dad at Bishop Eustace Prep. So his roots in the area run deep, should be able to recruit well, knows the lay of the land.
Knows where the best cheesesteak is, right? We'll touch on that a bit later.
Stone misses the corner 3.
2-3 zone here to try to disrupt LaSalle, give him a different look.
Stone again, misses again. Rebound to Moore. Daly. 7 of the 8 St. Joe's points. They're getting close to 8 turnovers.
And Rich, what you have to notice is anytime that Daly uses a ball screen, LaSalle's committed to double teaming him and forcing him to get the ball out of his hands, make one of the other St. Joe's players make a play.
Kenny missed the 3. LaSalle getting after it defensively. Moore misses the 3. Hakeem with a rebound. Kenny straight away.
There's the true mark 3 for number 4, Sharif.
13-8, LaSalle.
Young man has a very bright future. Well-built kid, athletic, plays hard. Combo guard, can play the 1 or the 2. Defensively, you see he has the confidence to deal with Daly, and he also have an offensive game to have you worry about.
Deep three, Daly.
Can't leave him for 1 second. There was a little bit of relaxation from the freshman, and Daly made him pay.
31% from three on the season, averaging 20.7 rebounds. Big scorer at Delaware. Had those ties to St. Joe's and came back home. Though Delaware's not far. Beatty misses his try from deep.
2-3 zone has helped St. Joe's rebound a bit better.
Explorers fouls on number 0.
Ayinde Hakeem picks up his second foul quickly.
We have a media timeout.
It's a game of 3 balls. It's college hoop 2020, and Ryan Daly plays it well.
Excuse me.
I did for lunch today, and I'm just now coming out of an extended period of self-loathing because I ate a cheesesteak which was roughly the size of Bob Lanier's sneaker.
Do they serve salads?
If you dare to go and order a salad, partner, I'll never speak to you again. Don't even broach that idea. And listen, a good cheesesteak, take it from somebody who went to school in the city at Temple. A good cheesesteak is eaten standing up, bent over, with your back turned to the world so that you can properly disgrace yourself and so as to not drip on your shoes, which is possible. And you might be eating, you know, at 2 in the morning after a nice wedding with a $300 pair of dress shoes. So, David Beatty with a 3.
You sound like one of my kids, Rich. That's what they look like at the dinner table.
And I did eat today's cheesesteak with what they call cheese whiz. Nobody knows yet what goes into that product. It's orange. It comes out of a can. Don't think it's cheese. LaSalle by 5.
Right now you can see when Daly is off the ball, a little bit more experience, whether it's Peary or Beatty, that they're staying attached to Daly.
That was a nice pass by Dennis Ashley. Unfortunately, Miles Douglas did knock down the wide open 3.
He replaces number 23, Brandon Stone.
Ashley trying to get to the basket. Great help there and a wonderful pass to the corner. That's a huge shot for Douglas. I think he's got a world of talent, 6'7", can handle the basketball, pass himself, but he's got to make outside shots from the perimeter.
It raises the question, where is the offense going to come from outside of Ryan Daly?
It's a little bit of the dilemma that Lang has when you have a player that has such a high usage rate, meaning always on the ball, shooting, scoring. Where else? What are the established rules for the other players to step up and make their shots beyond just catch and shoot?
Fans initially thought maybe it was a 3-point try, bucket and the foul, but no, it was a walk. Christian Ray.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
Little scrum near half court. St. Joe's comes away with it. And Miles Douglas walks.
Great hustle there by Ray and his teammates to force St. Joe's so far away from the basket, and their rhythm just is not there in terms of half-court execution.
7 turnovers now for the Hawk.
They replace number 25.
Defense has mainly been the bugaboo for St. Joe's. They're giving up 81 points per game. That's the worst defensive focus there in the A-10, and it's something that Billy Lang wants to stay attentive to. Scoring really hasn't been the issue.
Here he missed a wide open layup. Now Dees
There's the true mark 3 for number 10.
cleans up for 3, and it's an 8-point Explorer lead.
Rich, we could be getting dangerously close to the timeout zone here, where St. Joe's doesn't get a good look and LaSalle's able to convert. Billy Lang may need to call a timeout and just refocus the guys.
When they're going to make Ryan Daly work.
Hey, you gotta stop the ball here. Come on, Ryan, you got that play.
Dees pulls up. Rebound, Cameron Brown. ATO Another turnover. Whistle St. Joe's for the foul.
St. Joe's fouls on number 3, Cameron Brown. That's his first
foul on Cameron Brown, team's fourth.
For your Explorers, number 4, Sharif.
Billy Lang's 47 years old, 15th head coach in the storied 110-year history of St. Joe's, which has given us great coaches. One of the all-time best, Dr. Jack Ramsey.
Talk about coaching. Let's tip our hat to Ashley Howard here. Facing this 2-3 zone, he's decided to go with 5 perimeter guys. That'll be an interesting challenge to the zone. Can he cover all the shooters? I think they'll get the shots that they want. They've just got to put them in terms of LaSalle.
Beatty misses. That was deep into the shot clock. Brown. Long Craig. Doesn't get the bounce.
That's a tough miss there. You can see the comfort level. Nice Euro step to avoid the charge. He's developing some skill on the perimeter. He needed that basket to go down to just quell the momentum of the Explorers.
Spencer with a long triple with Cameron Brown right in his grill.
St. Joe's calls timeout. 30-second timeout.
The Explorers have doubled them up.
They can move the ball around so quickly, spread you out, knock it down. St. Joe's possessions, and there's 4 field goals, 8 turnovers. Never a good thing to double yourself up in terms of your field goals, having that many turnovers, and you rely on Ryan Daly to get it done so much. I'll tell you, credit to him. He's a willing passer. Certainly needs teammates to step up and make some shots, again, so they can balance their offense and not struggle with LaSalle double teaming him so much.
His grandfather's Jim Boyle played at St. Joe's. They beat the pressure, and they need a bucket.
Douglas is a young man that I'm so excited to see him play in the film there. Try to get a little backdoor action for Daly, but Douglas has individual ability, but certainly is not in a rhythm this evening.
Christian Ray from the corner, 6'6" freshman, Gap, Pennsylvania. Sal pulling away.
Sometimes when you spend so much time trying to get one guy the ball, it takes away from your focus a little bit more of that. Just play a little bit looser, share the game, and certainly wide open shots from other guys need to go in.
Brown missed the 3. Triple from Saul Fury, and the Explorers are really heating up now. They're on their way to blowing out St. Joe's. LaSalle said something interesting to us yesterday. They're the most dangerous team in the Atlantic 10. Odd to be coming out of the mouth of a guy whose team has lost 7 in a row.
Yeah, it's really interesting. He's lost no confidence in what he's doing with his guys and the system and the belief of what they want to accomplish. And I think if he gets them clicking at a high level, he feels great going up to New York and trying to figure it out in the A-10 tournament.
It's Brooklyn in March. They lost by 2 to Duquesne, by 1 in overtime here at home to St. Louis, 2 of the better teams in the league. And that snaps the 15-0 run by LaSalle. And who else? Ryan Daly.
Rich, we can say this about both teams now. As you see Daly pushing through, he's very right-handed. You want to force him left. See how much attention he draws from LaSalle. He's able to push through and put the ball in the basket. But both teams have been very, very competitive in what is certainly some tough times now in terms of getting those wins. And that's a really good sign. The players continue to respond to the head coaches. All right, you're not going to compete at this level without respecting your coach and believing what you're trying to do. But now somebody obviously has to come up with a win to build a little bit more positivity and momentum moving forward for the rest of the season. Spencer. Rebound Freeman. Fundamental difference right now. It's make or miss. St. Joe's usually getting one shot at the rim and not making. LaSalle, I mean, it's swish after swish after swish in the half court.
Vermeer muscles inside. Good dish to Tolliver Freeman, who's fouled.
The Explorers fouls on number 11. And
credit Freeman cutting from the weak side corner. He had a forward, a big guy on him. Those big guys aren't necessarily used to guarding out on the perimeter. Roswell lost his guy. Freeman was able to cut to the basket and get a scoring opportunity.
Well, next Saturday, outdoor hockey heading to Rocky Mountain High, where Anze Kopitar, the Kings, will be taking on Nathan McKinnon. And the Avalanche, live from the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, 2020 Navy Federal Credit Union NHL Stadium Series, which we love, next Saturday on NBC. Now down only 12. Kenny missed the layup.
Strong drive there, just couldn't finish with his weak hand.
Daly way out. No. Freeman rebound. Good hustle.
Need a bit more of that. Any offensive rebound opportunities that the Hawks can get, certainly want to take advantage of.
Six on the shot clock. Brown, well defended by Ed Croswell.
Excellent defense. Spot on, Rich.
Tapped away. That's great hustle right there by Cameron.
See why Coach Lang is so high on this young man.
He's a freshman from Laurel, Maryland. Led Roosevelt High School to the Maryland 4A state title last year, averaged 19 a game, so he has some skills.
50-50 balls. The Hawks have to come up with them. Great deflection there, but Brown just completely laid out, and that will certainly win the respect of your head coach to play both sides of the basketball. Obviously, we talked about he's scoring in double figures, 10 games in a row, 12 points per game. But that defensive effort is certainly the inspiration, motivation that the Hawks need to get themselves back in this game.
Seven on the shot clock. Kenny.
Basket score by number 11.
Sometimes it's enough to just drive your guy out of the play. You may not get the rebound, but the Hawks just have to know where number 11 is, make sure he's not close to the rim anytime the shot goes up.
Douglas short on the mid-range. Here come the Explorers. 80. Good look inside to Croswell. He's fouled.
So, Rich, when you're employing your guys in terms of closing out a defensive possession, sometimes there's a big, strong guy on the court, and you just have to will yourself to drive him away from the basket and rely on your teammates to rebound. If not, Croswell is going to crush you time and time again. Looking at a young man as a freshman who led the country all NCAA in offensive rebounding percentage last year. He is a load down on the block.
Step back by David Beatty, transfer from South Carolina. Played his high school ball here in the city at Imhotep. It's a high school that produced one of the best players in the Atlantic 10, Fats Russell. He had another good one today in a Rhode Island win.
Two guys on Daly. Got to give it up, draw two, and share the game. That's what it needs to look like.
Ramir Moore missed the three. Edwards. They needed that. Big fella, Lorenzo Edwards. His dad, Kevin, played in the NBA 11 years, now an assistant at DePaul.
Rich, I don't have a rooting interest, obviously, but I love to see the game played the right way. Daly gets, but he is a willing passer, and he'll have more confidence in his teammates as he shares the game and baskets go in.
Good stroke in the corner, Brandon Stone. 27% from three on the season. Seems like everybody has the green light these days. Edwards again. Triple again.
He's got that in his game. Started a number of games earlier this year, and he's at a career high in terms of points per game, so he's comfortable making shots, certainly out on the perimeter.
Kenny. Good rebound. There's that board work you talked about by Eddie Croswell. He's a load downstairs.
I'll tell you what, and the thing that he's developed as a sophomore is he's not only getting a rebound, but he's good enough to finish and put it in the basket. Last year, he might have kicked that out. He understands he can score at the basket now.
Daly finally had some space, and he'll make you pay. Good player.
Rich, I know they don't have a ton of wins. If this is not one of the best players in the league, I don't know. I mean, he looks like a first-team all-conference guy when I'm watching him.
Looks like a guy who can play offensive line, too. Isaiah Dees took a little extra step right there. Ed Croswell getting to work.
Make sure you get out of the way. This big guy, he'll put it right on your head. In the moment, and playing really hard.
Ashley Howard played his college basketball in town at Drexel. High school ball at Monsignor Bonner, also in the Philadelphia Catholic League. She has produced, among others, how about Kyle Lowry, playing so well for the Toronto Raptors.
Boy, yeah.
Ashley misses Daly. Go ahead and try it again.
Second chance opportunities. St. Joe spreads you out, so three-pointers, oftentimes long rebounds. Sal has to lock in.
That'll be a foul on LaSalle.
Explorers foul is on number 3, Christian Ray. That's his first personal foul. Team 7.
10 and 21 last year.
Now the line
in his first year.
Number 10, Ramir Moore, shooting a 1.
Took over for John Giannini, but worked with some great people, obviously, at Villanova. Jay Wright may well go down as the greatest coach in Big 5 college history, and that's saying something considering the legendary figures who've come from this great city. John Chaney, Chuck Daly, Dr. Jack Ramsey, Harry Litwack, 2 NCAA titles the last 5 years. Speaks volumes.
A lot of great basketball played in this city, I'll tell you what.
Listen. How about this? Wilt and Kobe. Enough said.
Yeah.
And Kobe's dad played here in LaSalle in the mid-'70s. Jelly Bean Bryant.
A 1-2 punch for the ages.
Croswell raked across the eyes, professional wrestling style right there.
St. Joe's fouls on number 21, Lorenzo
Edwards.
His second personal foul. Team
his second. 16 foul.
Returning for St. Joe's, number 12, Anthony Longpre. He replaces number 21, Lorenzo Edwards.
Tough one for Edwards. Banged a couple of threes and looked like he was adding a complimentary player to Daly. Got foul trouble having him on the bench.
Blocking foul on Longpre.
St. Joe's fouls on number 12.
Longpre's from Canada.
That's his first personal foul.
He looks like a guy who's chopped some wood with a flannel shirt on with that beard. Coming up, U.S. Bank NBC Sports Report at the half. Met Fareed in studio. Emotional return for Bobby Knight. And a thriller in the SEC. So tragic with Kobe, got us thinking about his pop. We're estranged through the years, but the reconciliation toward the very end of Kobe's life. Some people forget Dad was a very accomplished player, averaged 20 and 11, 55 games here. And some good teams in the mid-1970s.
Played 5 years in Italy, Rich, and a lot of the folks over there remember Jelly Bean because of how good he was in the professional league in Europe.
Croswell took the charge, and you feel that one with Ryan Daly. And when they came back from Italy, Kobe went to high school out on the main line, Lower Merion High School. The legend began to be written there. As a 16, 17-year-old, he would scrimmage against the 76ers when the Sixers worked out over at St. Joe's.
Yep.
And they tell stories of Kobe embarrassing some of the professionals, being hyper-competitive.
He would wear some of those guys out. And my son is in 10th grade, and I can't imagine him going against 30-year-old men in terms of playing basketball. That's what Kobe Bryant was doing it. And then, obviously, when he came of age, he gave everybody the business.
There's a narrative out there that he was never really embraced until very late in his career by Philadelphia. Ashley Howard, good block right there by Ramir Moore. Ashley Howard said, don't believe that. The people in this town who know basketball loved Kobe from the start. But there was that thought that, well, he's out of the main line. He's not really tough. Ashley said, don't buy that. And of course, Kobe came back. The NBA Finals against the Sixers and Allen Iverson. And the Lakers won in 5 games, and then the following year was the MVP of the All-Star game here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, if you're a Sixers fan, if you're an Eagles fan, Phillies, obviously there's a lot of love for your sports teams, but Kobe was beloved, whether it's in Philadelphia or going back to Dad's legacy in Italy. They just retired, the team retired Kobe Bryant's number. So now no one in that organization back in Italy can wear it. That's the tentacles of his influence in terms of what he meant to this game worldwide.
I know you love that he paid attention to detail, to what you would call his craft.
Yeah, just from a coach's standpoint, you work so hard to get your guys to study the game and understand the nuances of it, the preparation. That's something that Kobe Bryant embraced and took to the highest level. He studied Michael Jordan. He studied his opponents. He broke it down to a science and then passed it along to the future generation of NBA guys. Now players today emulate that. That's the influence of number 8, number 24.
Sharif Kenny, strong drive to the hole. And St. Joe's done a decent job getting back in this game.
They have fighting and clawing, making sure it doesn't get away from them. LaSalle's baskets have been a little bit easier, I'll say that. But St. Joe's has continued to plug away, obviously behind Daly, so that this doesn't get too far away from them.
One last thing on Kobe and his dad. The lineage of Philadelphia basketball, the tentacles that spread. Jelly Bean played here under Paul Westhead. Westhead later succeeded Jack McKinney from St. Joe's as the head coach of the Lakers. And in Westhead's first year, he had Magic Johnson as a rookie right here in Philadelphia with Kareem out going for 42 in a legendary game. The Lakers won the NBA title. And then Westhead would go on to coach Loyola, which had 2 Philadelphia stars, the late great Hank Gathers and Bo Kimball.
Bo Kimball.
Always comes back to Philly.
Certainly does. Double team here on Daly, getting the ball out of his hands.
Good job finding somebody in a travel. That was Miles Douglas.
Returning for St. Joe's, number 11, Tolliver Freeman.
So just a little bit more than 4 seconds left, and LaSalle leading it by 11. One last crack.
Rich, that pass out of the double team from Daly, he's looking for his teammates, but the one more pass has to come quicker so St. Joe's can take advantage of being wide open.
And for St. Joe's, number 5, Greg Smith. He replaces number 12, Anthony Longpre.
Beatty has it at the buzzer. David Beatty with a hawk draped all over him. And LaSalle back.
Extra passes have not happened quickly enough to get wide open shots. When they've had open shots, they just haven't gone in.
11 turnovers as well for St. Joe's. They need to give Ryan Daly some help, and they need a good start to this second half.
Rich, some of that help comes in Lorenzo Edwards starting here. He had a couple baskets in the first half. Coach Lang definitely wants to make sure he's got his offensive weapons on the court to start play right now.
Christian Ray went to work on the block, and they whistled Cameron Brown for the foul.
Number 3, Cameron Brown, his second personal foul, team's first.
Christian Ray went to high school here at
62.
nearby Haverford School, was the Philadelphia Inquirer Player of the Year. He's a 2,000-point scorer. And brother Jackson plays baseball here at LaSalle.
Ashley Howard thrilled to get that commitment. Ray is a tough, hard-nosed kid, competes. We saw him flying around earlier in the first half. Can also make shots, but a glue guy for this Explorers program.
Lead back up to 15. And LaSalle with a little pressure.
Love it, Rich. When you have the lead, you still want to stay in attack mode, stay in that kind of dominating mindset. And so full court pressure to make sure your guys don't relax. Good move here by Howard.
This is Ryan Daly. Threw it away. Tried to get Lorenzo Edwards across the floor.
One of the scouting reports on Daly, when he gives it up, he often looks to pass to the corner for his teammates. Looked like Sal was expecting that.
Beatty coughed it up for LaSalle. Moore. Daly rebound. Bucket and a foul.
Deserves every bit of that good play. Sprinted the floor, ran well without the ball. You see Moore pushing it and thought he had it himself. Daly did not quit on the play, muscled his way in for the offensive rebound, the hoop and the harm.
And Billy Lang talks about how he has the ability, Daly does, to play through contact, has big shoulders. And he's shouldering a huge load for the Hawk right now.
Indeed, needs some help.
But even in the darkest times, as they say on Hawk Hill, the Hawk never dies. Isaiah Dees. That will be St. Joe's basketball. Now they say in the game that the Hawk, they track it with an iPhone, flaps its wings. It's 3,500 times.
That's a workout, man.
In a 40-minute game.
That is a workout.
And 64 years going back to 1956. He's one of the few mascots that travels to every single game on scholarship. Alec Kerr, the 40th student to don the feathers. And the Hawks still very much in this game. Shot clock winding down. Been able to whistle Brown for an offensive foul. Daly came up with the offensive rebound instead. Out of bounds, it will belong to St. Joe's. So despite the sloppy play, the shooting, St. Joe's kind of hanging around.
Yeah, and Coach Lang might have a case there. I mean, Daly muscled his way in there for another offensive rebound. He has those broad shoulders and that size. On his putback, it looked like he got bumped and deserved to go to the free throw line. Fortunate for them that the loose ball rebound allows them to maintain possession.
Also entering the lineup here, Explorers number 4.
Lang is talked about at length, as physical as Daly is and as cerebral as he is in terms of using his body and drawing contact. He wished that his star player would get to the line a little bit more. I tend to agree with him in there. Just the respect that he deserves as a fantastic player, and he'll put you on your heels, Rich.
Second foul on Christian Ray, team second. Billy Lang has his work cut out at St. Joe's. He apprenticed under some legendary figures. Herb McGee at what was Philadelphia Textile, now Philadelphia University. Speedy Morris, who's still coaching, would be his final year, 77 years old, former LaSalle coach, high school coach at St. Joe's Prep.
Incredible.
And also, obviously, with Jay Wright at Villanova. That's good ball movement right there. A nice finish by Tolliver Freeman. So maybe that'll get some of these other guys going. Easy layup. It's only a 10-point game.
And there was a bit more flow with that offensive set where you're not so intent on getting Daly the ball, but passing, moving, cutting, you need some easy baskets to relieve some of this pressure from the Explorers.
Lorenzo Edwards bumped Ed Croswell. That's his third foul, team second.
Entering the lineup for St. Joe's, number 2, Miles Douglas.
Here's that ball movement.
Yeah, and just moving without the ball, not standing still. That's a lost art in our game. Just cutting with a purpose, whether to open yourself up for a score or even a teammate.
Must eat you up at times, Coach. You played for the all-time ball movement guy. Pete Carrill at Princeton, mid-1990s. Ivy League Player of the Year.
St. Joe's fouls on number 3.
We talked before the game. When you guys famously upset a high-scoring UCLA team in the NCAA, how'd you do it?
Well, one of the things we did is we shared the game, cut well, moved, got the shot that we wanted, and no matter what, we flew back on the defensive end so that we didn't give up anything in transition. So Coach put it colorfully in terms of how we needed to do that, but 51-49 score for the Tigers. That was an historic win and a genius in terms of coaching with Coach Carrill and a remarkable assistant coaching staff.
It was all ball movement, wasn't it? How about Ryan Daly with the rugged drive to the rim?
I played with some really good players. None of them look like this kid. I mean, he can do it on his own.
And I know you played some big games in the Plestra against Penn.
Absolutely. You know, I have to tip my hat to Fran Dunphy, who was, you know, certainly a rival of Pete Carrill in terms of the X's and O's, and some remarkable players. Jerome Allen, who's with the Celtics right now. I looked up to him. He was a couple years older than me, but he gave me nightmares on the court and is a tremendous person off the court. Man, were the Quakers good back then.
You mentioned Fran Dunphy, Philadelphia coaching legend who actually played college basketball right here at LaSalle. We're going to take another look at this, see when the whistle came.
I mean, that's a classic and one. Just a nice little crossover. Hezzy throws a defender, and like we said, those broad shoulders gets a little bit of an advantage, and you can't get around them. 3 guys practically fouled him. To me, that's just a no-brainer and one. Let's shoot the free throw and play on.
Daly now 19 points in 21 minutes, 7 of 11 from the floor, 3 of 5 from 3. Another strong performance. Probably the only reason he won't
have to value winning, and great players find different ways to make their team win. But I'll tell you what, Daly's made some huge shots, the same games in the overtime, at the end of at the end of regulation, making big free throws, the whole deal. It just hasn't come his way. Some level, I hope it doesn't hurt him in terms of all conference honors. 10 seconds ago here, another double team. Anytime he gets a ball screen, they're going to double team him, force him to give the basketball up.
Shot clock violation.
He's imploring, you know, it's almost like a coach on the floor, trying not only scoring, rebounding, and assisting, but helping his guys understand what they need to do X's and O's wise. That's true leadership from Daly.
Croswell.
5 guards on the floor right now, Rich, so Croswell's going to present pretty significant problems for St. Joe's. LaSalle certainly wants to play inside out. They'll make sure they get Croswell touches. St. Joe's is going to have to double team to minimize the impact of Croswell at the rim.
Beatty with a 3. Go back to St. Joe's.
Now the lineup for
a little bit of a lull now for LaSalle.
You read my mind. I was just thinking that, you know, we're kind of stuck on this 10-point deficit. I think it's really incumbent upon LaSalle to try to add to the lead, because if you allow St. Joe's, they have been competitive, Rich, in this A-10 conference play. If you allow them to hang in there, they have a difference maker in number 1. You definitely don't want to get into a single possession game with St. Joe's Hawks and allow number 1 to beat you. See here, they've run some really good offense with Daly not involved.
And Ramir Moore on the drive. Fans excited. How about the block? Was walk before the rejection.
I don't like that one at all.
Not sure about that.
There's a lot of physicality on that drive. A tremendous job to push through and try to earn a trip to the line. If there was a travel, it certainly felt like it was created by the defender.
Now 13 turnovers for St. Joe's. Hard to win a game when you're pushing 15, maybe 20 turnovers, and there's another one by LaSalle.
Great fronting the post. Weak side help was there against Croswell.
Step back from Daly, no. He came away for it with LaSalle. looking for a 3-ball. They don't get it. That was David Beatty. Ramir Moore for St. Joe's. Big-bodied guard, just a freshman. Daly going to work again, and he was tripped. Just like the start of the first half, second half, now by 10.
We have a media timeout on the floor.
Break out the butter. Lobster Fest is on at Red Lobster. If you've been dreaming about tender, wild-caught lobster, dig into butter-poached fire.
In the history of our game, Dayton's right there with it. I've just marveled at what the Flyers have done.
And they have a National Player of the Year candidate, electric dunker, but a complete player in Obi Toppin, who very likely will be a lottery selection the NBA draft next year.
And they are doing work in this league. This is a really good league. They're undefeated. I mean, we're talking about 6 teams in the A-10 who have 16 wins or more. I mean, top to bottom, there's no nights off, and yet the Flyers are doing their thing and bringing along Rhode Island, who's been remarkable, VCU. I think Richmond has a really good shot at getting in the NCAA tournament. The A-10 is very well represented this year.
Well, the legendary Joe Lenardi, a.k.a. Joey Brackets, does St. Joe's basketball on radio. He's sitting 2 down from us here on Media Row, and he said, no doubt, 3 Atlantic 10 teams. They've averaged 3 teams per year going back to 2007.
Yep.
Now, Dayton, he tells me, will very likely be a 2 seed. He doesn't think they have a chance to be the 1. Timeout, St. Joe's. Last time the Atlantic 10 had a 1 seed, to go all the way back to 04, that was Jameer Nelson, Delonte West, and St. Joe's.
Hey.
Hey.
How's the book tour going?
The tour is going really well, but I can't find my card. But don't worry, I locked it.
Yeah, I saw the text. When did you have it last? You found it.
At U.S. Bank, we believe that hard work works. And in the moments you've worked so hard for, we're here to give you peace of mind.
The conference, non-conference, and played up and taken care of business.
Duquesne likely will have to win the Atlantic 10. They just haven't played a strong enough non-conference schedule.
Classiest guys in the sport, and man, do his guys play hard.
Everybody raves about Keith Dambrot. Coach LeBron in high school?
He sure did. He sure did, and they maintain a very close relationship to this day. I think LeBron, as much as anybody, was sad to see Coach go from Akron to Duquesne, but I believe Duquesne is where Coach Dambrot's dad played ball, so there's certainly a special relationship there.
5 on the shot clock for LaSalle. Spencer Scott doesn't get the roll inside. That's excellent work by the big fella Stone. Just a little awkward on the finish. Ashley pulls up from way out, and Stone has the rebound.
Really hasn't found his shot, but he is a shooter, Ashley, and they certainly needed that.
Good ball movement, and Croswell's hack going up by Miles Douglas.
The easy shots that LaSalle gets, they seem to make them. The open ones, St. Joe's just hasn't been able to convert. And not a lot going on in transition either. You see LaSalle just sharing the game, letting the ball do the work, and then Croswell, there's really been no answer for him when he catches at the rim.
So mention that he played his high school basketball at St. Joe's Prep here in the area under Speedy Morris. 52nd year as the head coach. Pay tribute to Speedy. Started way back in the mid-60s. CYO team here in the city. St. John the Baptist. He's in the Big 5 Hall of Fame. He also coached at Roman Catholic Penn Charter. Then 15 seasons Speedy had here at LaSalle. And some pretty good teams. 238 wins, 4 NCAA tournaments. Had the great Lionel Simmons, who was Player of the Year in 1990, National Player of the Year. Doug Overton, Tim Legler. You know Timmy. Timmy, one of the great outside shooters in Big 5 history.
Some good players. I actually got my first start at Princeton against the Speedy Morris LaSalle team. My first shot was an air ball.
You got a little bit better since then.
Out of bounds, it'll remain St. Joe's basketball.
Billy Lang coached under Speedy Morris. He's an assistant, late 1990s. So young Billy Lang. About LaSalle, great tradition. It's a good play on the out of bounds.
Basket scored by number 3, Cameron Brown.
Cameron Brown, big freshman from Maryland, averaging 9 per game, keeping St. Joe's within striking distance. But they need more than they've gotten.
Yeah, the set play there. Terrific for St. Joe's to get a basket.
It's an offensive foul called on the Explorers, number 11, and Croswell.
They whistle Croswell inside. That's his third.
Returning for your Explorers, number 1, David Beatty. He replaces number 11 and
LaSalle has just been in a rhythm. I'm just thinking of the offensive end. I mean, they're averaging 80 points a game in the 10 wins that they have this season, Rich. Their rhythm has not been disrupted by St. Joe's. And that's something where St. Joe's has really had to work for every basket. It's laborious. And you can best believe any kind of ball screen here, there's going to be a double team.
There it is. Making life hard on Ryan Daly. Moore. That was just hard work right there.
Again, a tough shot against the double team. Pass it out, which Daly's been willing to do. But the guy who catches it, he's got to reverse it quickly instead of trying to make the play himself.
Stone traveled. Never had his footing.
On the Explorers, St. Joe's basketball.
And that's where the weight room will be kind to Stone as he develops a stronger lower base. He's got the length and the height there, and he plays the right way. But he's got to get his legs stronger so he can hold position on the block.
If you're a Philadelphia basketball fan, always fun to play. All-time Big Five for each school. LaSalle's fairly easy. It's Tom Gola, Larry Cannon, Kenny Durrett, Lionel Simmons, and the late, great Michael Brooks. Daly kicks it away. Stone has it. Basketball follies here in Philadelphia. Daly misses. There to clean it up is Cameron Brown.
The Explorers have called.
Yeah, we all concede. Philly's seen better days. Big Five basketball. These two teams are
right now almost like it's dislocated. Can't speculate. Tough enough to keep playing on and try to help his team get back in it.
.11-point lead for LaSalle. St. Joe's just hanging around.
And that's where these teams are closer than you might think in terms of the score, because LaSalle has shown an inability to pull away even a transition look a couple plays ago and just dribble it out of bounds.
Edwards missed the three. Back at the other end. Water bug. Ayinda Hakeem. See the speed there. Freshman from the D.C. area. Good spin move and a great look inside, and Lorenzo Edwards pounds it home.
Feeling that. I am feeling that. The lefty is able to come down right on the rim. Gorgeous pass from his teammate. Maybe that'll give the Hawks a little bit of energy. Build on that. 2 stops and 2 scores. That'll give them the run for some momentum.
5'11", Ayinda Hakeem in there getting a rebound and getting his buddy David Beatty a basket. That's just good hustle.
And maybe a bit of fatigue. St. Joe's doesn't go quite as deep as LaSalle does in terms of the rotation. That's a wide open shot off an offensive rebound. Can't allow that to happen at the Division I level.
Explorers fouls on number 1, David Beatty, his third.
First foul on David Beatty, his third. Lorenzo Edwards with the hammer.
2 for 10 to start the half. They don't get a lot of free throws. They don't get a ton of offensive rebounds. And so simply, if they put the ball in the basket, they're going to be able to stay in it. It's been few and far between this evening for them.
Defense is keeping them within striking distance. They've held LaSalle just 2 of 10 field goal shooting in this second half.
Yep.
They will need some offense at some point. Where will it come from? They're good backdoor cut. A little more of that, right?
Yeah, we talked about that during the break. Some of their best offensive actions have actually not been through Daly, but just moving and allowing the offense and their movement, especially off the ball, to create really good looks.
It was Douglas to Brown on the finish, and Brown has the rebound.
Talking to a Princeton guy, you know, when you move that much and you share the game, it's hard for defenses to load up and game plan, and that may help St. Joe's right now.
Douglas misses, but there to follow is Edwards. He didn't tweak his ankle. They are now within 10. And this 9-point game.
This is the best offensive flow that St. John's has shown this evening. And look at that. Douglas probing. They're face guarding Daly. That weak side, or excuse me, the cut, it was actually from the ball side, but that cut from the corner as the Explorers were standing watching. Some of that movement without the ball, again, has been the best scoring options that St. Joe's has had. 10 for 20 in the first half for LaSalle in terms of the three-point line. 0 for 5 in the second half, so they're leaving the door open for St. Joe's to get in this game. And right on cue.
That's the reverse jinx right there.
It is. It is. I'm feeling pretty good about myself now.
That was Christian Ray. Good stroke. And Douglas was bumped on the way up.
Explorers fouls on number 3, Christian Ray. His third
foul on Christian Ray.
I think there's more to come from this young man, Rich. 6'7", can handle the basketball. I think he can get himself to the rim. He's got a herky-jerky game. Again, I think the outside shot, if he develops that, that'll open some things up. We'll see more production out of this young man moving forward.
Tomorrow, an Original Six showdown from Hockey Town. Boston Bruins taking on the Detroit Red Wings. NHL on NBC tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern.
Returning for St. Joe's, number 10, Romier Moore.
The tough thing, the challenge for Billy Lang and his troops.
Number 2,
yes, they're scoring more, but they cannot afford to trade baskets. And so when you think about those 81 points per game that they're giving up, they've got to lock down defensively. Things are happening too easily for LaSalle.
Croswell with another offensive rebound on the Hakeem miss.
His second personal foul, team
second foul on Ashley, team second.
Ed Croswell averaged a little bit under 5 points a game last year. A fantastic offensive rebounder in his first year. He's doubled his scoring average as a sophomore. And so then that allows some balance there. You don't want to be overly perimeter oriented. Croswell does a lot of work in the paint. So there's a deep penetration, able to get downhill and everyone collapse, and that's the weapon that Croswell is as you're trying to defend that shot. And Croswell can go up on his way at the rim.
There's some question whether that was a flagrant. It's not. We're just told common foul.
Yeah. I didn't see much there on the replay at all, and so I'm glad we're quickly going to resume play. Don't want these guys to cool down at all. Let's get to it. Coach Howard taking advantage of a little bit of a timeout. It looks like there might be a contact lens. Or something that Croswell's, maybe his face.
Took a shot to the chin there, a little blood. By the way, one of the assistants for Ashley Howard is a LaSalle great, Big 5 Hall of Fame member Donnie Carr, was a 2,000-point scorer here at LaSalle. Earlier we talked about Kobe Bryant. Donnie Carr in high school dropped 34 on Kobe. Mid-90s, Donnie played for Roman Catholic. Great high school program here in the city, which also gave us the late, great Rasul Butler, who had some wonderful years here at LaSalle as well.
Now at the free throw line for your Explorers, number 1, David Beatty.
David Beatty, 64% foul shooter. There's Donnie Carr.
How valuable is that for Coach Howard to be able to tap in, not only in his own experience, but through Coach Carr's experience, This is going to become a destination for Philly guys to stay home or even come back home, as we've seen some transfers. Excited about what Coach Howard has going on here at LaSalle.
St. Joe's are out of bounds.
That's just a bad play right there. At a bad time. St. Joe's can't afford to waste possessions. I mentioned Donnie Carr went to Roman Catholic, Philadelphia Catholic League. St. Joe's legend Mike Banham went to Roman Catholic High School. Christian Ray going to work. That's good basketball right there. Hakeem finding Beatty inside, and he's fouled.
Absolutely. Give Ray credit. They isolated him on the perimeter. He didn't force the action. Look for Hakeem, who then found a cutter from the corner. Again, those cuts from the corner as a defender is staring down the basketball, and Beatty has the presence of mind to use a pump fake, get his body into the defender, and get to the line. Beatty hasn't made every shot that he's put up, but he's scored a bit. It's his defense, especially on Daly, that has been remarkable. And Beatty's a shot maker, but he's made Daly work every single trip down the court.
Beatty is the only LaSalle player in double figs so far with 12. But they do have reasonable balance. And a 13-point lead. Moore, hard drive and a foul. And that was better. A little more aggressive.
Well, all that came from, they were fully denying Daly. That's what they think of Ryan Daly. They denied him 80 feet from the basket. And so then Moore said, all right, well, I'm just going to put my head down. He saw a clear lane. The help was late. And so he could get to the free throw line because of the contact. But that's what we've said. Some of the best offenses come because LaSalle is so intent on getting the ball out of Daly's hands or denying it when he doesn't have the ball in his hands. He's almost playing 4-on-4. And there's a lot of space for the Hawks to score.
So a bit of foul trouble for Beatty. 7 points per game, 70% foul shooter Moore. And bailed out by Cameron Brown. Edwards likes it from deep. Kenny with the rebound.
Another corner pass from Daly. He's sharing the game.
Spencer Scott. Moore thought about the three, drives instead. Good idea. Left-handed layup and the foul.
That's that DC in him. Man, did he drive fearlessly, look Edwards right in the eyes. Look at the ball movement here from one side to the other, sharing the game and looking at the best shot blocker for the Hawks right in the eye, giving him his body, switching over to the left off the glass.
He has a good-looking game, I end to Hakeem.
Kid can play, and when you're coming out of that D.C. area, you talk about fantastic cities for basketball in Philadelphia, D.C. ain't half bad.
Four fouls on Lorenzo Edwards. Back up to a 15-point lead. And Daly's been pretty quiet here in the second half.
He has, and I think he's played the right way. When he's doubled, he's given it up. But he's also enough aggressive to look for his own offense just like that.
And just digs the left shoulder in, and Sharif Kenny gets the bucket in the foul. Chance to draw the Hawks to within 12. Still plenty of time, 8:48 to go.
Rich, you got to get him going to his weak hand. He's very strong righty, and he just wants to power his way there. But I'm impressed with his decision making. He's taken really good shots. He hasn't forced the action, and certainly when his teammates are open, he's sharing the game. Wonderful performance by him. That's why this kid is so good.
Averages 20, has 22 this afternoon. We're at the Gola Arena, North Philadelphia, home to the LaSalle Explorers against St. Joe's, and that's travel.
Traveling violation called on the
Spencer Scott.
St. Joe's basketball.
You're looking at a young man who's second in the Atlantic 10 in scoring. And when him and his dad sit down at the dinner table, he's already outscored his dad. Dad played here at St. Joe's. He's already outscored him in, what, 2/3 of a season.
His dad, Brian, played late 80s, early 90s. Grandfather Jimmy was a player and a coach at St. Joe's.
And look at that. I mean, this kid is about his business, Rich.
He wants it.
Yeah, and this is what we talked about in our open, right? We talked about two teams with their back up against the wall. Philadelphia bragging rights, A-10 conference, the whole deal. And Daly's allowed his teammates to get involved, step back, but now he is reasserting himself into this basketball game.
I asked his coach, Billy Lang, whom does he remind you of? He went to the pro ranks, Bojan Bogdanovic. Daly's not an NBA player, we don't think. May play professionally somewhere, but likely not in the NBA, just doesn't have the speed. But just in terms of the build and the stroke, Bojan Bogdanovic of the Utah Jazz.
Well, and cerebral, right? I mean, this young man's a thinker. He knows how to pick his spots. Again, doesn't force it. That's when you're smarter than your opponent. This young man's been around the game a lot to learn some really good influences to be an impactful player his first year in the A-10.
Double teamed by the Hawks, and they get the turnover. Maybe they can get it to inside 10. Daly ran into a double team. Finds a man, Ramir Moore, offensive foul.
Well, I'm not sure about that. We'll see a replay here. Bang, bang play.
Sharif Kenny took the contact for LaSalle.
Team's 10. We have a media timeout on the
Close. Basketball belongs to LaSalle.
Let's welcome back your LaSalle.
No.
What?
Your face.
Your face.
What?
You got the whole thing.
Why didn't you tell me?
Honey, no one's gonna notice.
Inside the Tom Gola Arena on the campus of LaSalle University, the Explorers, 10-point lead on St. Joe's. Rich Turner alongside Sidney Johnson. And Sidney, what do you make of what you've seen so far?
Well, we've had a few turnovers, obviously, on both sides, and we have a wonderful player in Daly, one of the best players in the conference, getting buckets. LaSalle has spread it around a lot, but cooled off from the three-point line in the second half.
Roswell, no. Explorers flying in for that offensive rebound. Croswell, Scotty Spencer was there.
They were late to react on his dive to the basket. They won't just post him, they'll get Croswell in ball screens and then roll him to the basket. St. Joe's was late to react, and we're a little bit over physical in trying to get him away from the basket.
Took a shot to the face. 6 points for Croswell.
Returning for St. Joe's,
averaging 10, 56% foul shoot. She mentioned 3.5 offensive rebounds per game, 8 boards in all per contest.
Certainly one of the most improved players in the league, and there have been a few of them that certainly made the difference and strengthened this conference from top to bottom.
Brown, not quite. Croswell again with a rebound.
I feel for Coach Lang. That was clearly a scripted play, excellent execution. Coming out of the timeout and just couldn't get the basket to go in.
Scotty Spencer, Kenny inside now. Croswell, double. Spencer, pull up. Pretty.
Good score by number 2.
Lost start of the mid-range.
Indeed, but make no mistake, give Croswell all of the credit. The poise there, drew the double team, looked out, patient enough to put a pass on target, and allowed Spencer to do the rest.
Explorers fouls on number
Ayinde
0.
Hakeem.
Ayinde Hakeem. It's his third personal foul. Team's over the limit.
His third foul.
You see the Explorers working around. I told you they're going to play inside out.
Now
He identifies the double team, doesn't panic, finds the open man, and Spencer takes it from there. That's a lot of poise for a second-year guy, Rich.
Can't afford to be missing foul shots at this point.
Number 21,
Ramir Moore, 70% foul shooter on the year. Off a scoreless game against St. Louis. days and struggling again today.
Close out that point with Croswell. Second-year guy, he is a sophomore, but first year in terms of being a legitimate low-post threat. They did not play through him last season. This year, he's stepped up his game, and he's rewarding his team in terms of how productive he is. There again.
Basket scored by number 11.
Croswell taps in his own miss. Think about offensive rebounders in this city. You can't help but think about the late, great Moses Malone, one of my all-time favorites. Neil Funk, Sixers announcer years ago. Rebound Malone, back up again, no good. Rebound Malone, back up again, no good. You heard that over and over again. It's a good move inside by Cameron Brown.
He's done that a couple times now, where he's getting a paint touch off the dribble and keeping his head up to find teammates.
Good entry pass, Sharif Kenny inside to the big fella. And Croswell is feasting right now on the interior.
Half of those rebounds are his own misses, but there's no answer for them. And St. Joe's may have to consider doubling down and being aggressive right on the catch.
Daly misses the three. Mayenda Hakeem controlling for LaSalle. Once again, they go back to Croswell. And he's fouled once again.
What a weapon. I'll tell you, LaSalle has options on the perimeter, but they're mindful enough to know if you get paint touches throughout the basketball game, you're going to loosen up your defense and wear them down. They have stayed committed to keeping the big fella in rhythm. He is a tough, tough kid. And talking to Coach Howard before the game, he said, Sidney, Croswell he didn't play on the high major circuit in terms of AAU. And so when he's facing some of this stiff competition, he's unfazed. He doesn't worry about the name, the reputation. He's not necessarily a social media guy. He just comes with his hard hat ready to ball out. You see the bloody lip, the physicality, but unfazed. He has been relentless, especially in this last 5 to 6 minutes.
I mean, now he looks like smoking Joe Frazier in the 4th round against Muhammad Ali. Philly tough. Explorers by 15.
Nice cut there.
Back door, good hands, and good finish, Ryan Daly.
Edwards has acquitted himself very well, and of course, we know number one, he's going to ball out every time St. Joe shows up to the gym. Wow.
Croswell showing out here in North Philadelphia.
Rich, that's a big-time move. They gave him a whole lot of space at the top of the key. He's not a three-point shooter, but to identify with one dribble and the crossover at the rim, there was no help, and he could finish strong at the rim.
Croswell now with 14. The dribble, drive, and finish by Ramir Moore. He's played better in the second half, and he looks like a keeper for St. Joe's, just a freshman.
You know, St. Joe's is probably almost wishing they could restart the game if they had that energy and production from some of their complementary players. This score might be a little bit different. There's still plenty of time, though.
There's a true mark green
Scott Spencer. 6'6" redshirt junior. Transfer from Clemson.
That doesn't help. Right when St. Joe's went to the 2-3 zone, LaSalle might have just shot them out of it. We'll see if they come back to it.
They needed that from Miles Douglas. Running out of time, down 13 with 3:45 to go.
And there you see, man-to-man. Lang does not want to trade threes. Settles back into man-to-man defense, see if he can get a couple stops.
Story of the second half been this guy, number 11, Ed Croswell. 7 rebounds to go, those 14 points. Want to work again. Good pass. Ball movement. Spencer, no. Croswell has the crowd here at Gola fired up. He's just working. Hakeem in and out. Cameron Brown had the rebound for St. Joe's. They need it. They don't get it. Good hustle by Brown, but to no avail.
The big kid showing off, expanding his game, and taking guys off the dribble. Wonderful.
Coming up next here on NBCSN, ladies free skate, the 4 continents figure skating championships from South Korea. Maybe one last spirited run. Team historically known for great spirit, St. Joe's Hawks.
Down the line,
Mean times. Ed Croswell's just shoot him up on the glass here in the second half. He's getting a breather.
8 rebounds, 6 of them offensive, but let's give him credit for his motor. A lot of times guys will miss shots at the rim, but to stay in the play and finish it off, have to give Croswell credit.
Beatty off the pass from Mayenda Hakeem. It was a good pass and a nice stroke by David Beatty.
They've made just enough threes, red hot in the first half, and they've started to get cooking the second part of this second half.
Brown turns it over. Beatty's fouled. So Beatty with 16 points to lead LaSalle. Now 4 players in double figures. Croswell has 14, those 8 rebounds. Hakeem, the freshman, with 10. Scott Spencer with 11. You sense this is a team, even with some of those dry spells we talked about, it's beginning to find itself. Who knows? They could spring an upset in Brooklyn.
Without a doubt. Remember what we talked about in terms of Howard feeling like he could have potentially one of the most dangerous teams in the A-10, in a sense where some of the big boys, if LaSalle has a lower seed, some of those big boys are not going to want to play them when they go into the A-10 tournament up in New York.
Atlantic 10, one of 3 conferences with 6 teams that have 16 or more wins.
Yep.
The other's the West Coast Conference and the Big Ten.
And for sure, all of those conferences, A-10 included, multi-bid league. Big Ten likely to get 10 or 11. West Coast Conference 3. A-10 at least 3. And I'm holding out for 4. We'll see Richmond playing VCU a week from today. Huge matchup. Could determine a whole lot in terms of the NCAA tournament.
Rhode Island against Dayton on Tuesday. Nice flush by Sharif Kenny.
I have to say there's been great perimeter play. Beatty's been outstanding. Had more points from the offensive end quietly because it's been spread around, but his defense has been awesome. And then Croswell, inside-out play, but now they're just starting to turn it up. Open court layups for the Explorers.
Along with number 14,
Tolliver Freeman finished and was fouled.
Now the line for St.
Nice ovation for Scott Spencer, David Beatty. They played well today.
They have, and when you're talking about a desperation game, certainly helps to play at home. The energy from the crowd has been good. Coach Howard has had his guys locked in from day one. They respected Daly, apart from that first 5 minutes where he got going. And St. Joe's has something to think about in terms of balancing their offense to help out Daly. Maybe have some of these young guys like Moore a little bit more involved in the offense.
That is from Conshohocken right there.
Last minute of play in our second
Dennis Ashe. It gave you LaSalle's all-time all-Big 5 team. St. Joe's, to go all the way back to Cliff Anderson, who in the late 60s averaged 26 and 14 well before the three-point line. Mike Bannum, Jameer, obviously, Matty Gukas, and Bob McNeil was a wonderful player from North Philadelphia, late 50s. Oh, not that. Sharif Kenny, little dipsy-do. He's fouled on the way up. There's so many great players from both sides beyond the 5. And for LaSalle, you can throw Doug Overton, Fatty Taylor, Stevie Black, Rasul Butler. You mentioned Donnie Carr, Ralph Lewis, Kareem Towns. And for the other guys, St. Joe's, Delonte West, you wish him well. I know he's been on some hard times. Tony Costner, Rashid Bey, Norm Black, Brian Warwick, Billy Hoy, Mo Martin, DeAndre Bembry is playing well, Langston Galloway, both in the NBA.
And Rich, that's why both of these programs, they're on the upward swing.
You think they're coming back?
Well, without a doubt, because why wouldn't you want to be a part of some of those names that you just mentioned? I mean, the Big Five is special, man. And I'm from the Maryland area, but
you knew about the Big Five growing
and
up.
The respect that you have for these coaches and players, and me being competitive. If I'm a youngster coming up, I want to be a part of one of those programs, and I want someone talking about me the way you are, rolling off those incredible names and the legacy that they've built.
It would be nice if the alumni basis, nobody has patience anymore, gave someone, a Billy Lang, give him 3 to 5 years to establish himself.
Indeed. And huge shoes to fill, because Coach Martelli did a fantastic job here.
He was beloved.
Yeah, and has to be. I mean, Jameer Nelson, Delonte West, I mean, those guys could hoop. I mean, that was a lot of fun.
They want the kid to get a bucket.
Ball's out of bounds. Still remaining scores.
Put me in, Coach. Got to let it fly, young fella. Got to let it fly. Respecting their opponent, dribbling it out, but yes, I think better and brighter days for LaSalle and St. Joe's for sure. There's some work to do, but quite a legacy here, and I think these coaches and players will want to live up to it.
I enjoyed this, Sydney. See you down the road. Second winning conference for LaSalle. They break a 7-game losing streak. St. Joe's still winless. 83-66, LaSalle winning it. College basketball continuing on NBCSN tomorrow. More A-10 action. George Mason against UMass coming up next.